Life is full of shit we all wonder about, but maybe, just maybe, the greatest mystery around is one we all wonder about ourselves, our brain. In this video, I'm taking a look at some of those mysteries of our human brain. Mysteries like exactly how do our brains work and where the hell does our intelligence come from? I'm not talking about the greatest mysteries of our brain, but I am talking about some of the important ones nonetheless. Of course, we first have to look at the evolution of our brain and at least understand a little bit about how our brains work. Some 3-4 million years ago, your brain was about the size of a modern-day chimpanzee. And yeah, there are those humans today whose brains have failed to evolve, and you've maybe met one or two of those people. Around 2 million years ago, our brains started getting larger, and the reason is, at least is what scientists think, is because the world around us was changing due to a changing environment, changing due to human migration out of Africa into different environments. And one of the ways our brains changed is by adding more neurons. And for those who never listened in school, a neuron is a fundamental building block of the brain. And with the addition of more and more neurons, our brain needed space. So our brains started growing. And here I sit today, the result of all those neurons making me intelligent. Intelligent enough to question my own intelligence by asking what the fuck is intelligence. And yeah, our smarts, our ability to add 1 plus 1 is one of the brain's greatest mysteries, the mystery of intelligence. And before I say anything else, I'm not even close enough to being intelligent to make sense out of why intelligence is a mystery. And you're probably not either, but what the fuck? That ain't gonna stop me from trying. When it comes to shit like speech or vision, they have their own personal little locations in our brains. In your brain, speech is organized in 3 areas, all on the left side of your brain. And for vision, well, that's basically more toward the back of your brain. But when it comes to intelligence, well, the best we can figure out is that intelligence is derived from a network of regions in our brains. But our ability to add and subtract isn't the only mystery of the brain. And if you were paying attention, which I know you were, because I, like this video, am absolutely fascinating to listen to. You heard me mention something about neurons, and you've got like 100 billion of them in your brain. And for those of you who don't know what a neuron is, it's a nerve cell. A nerve cell, that's a basic building block of your brain. And all those neurons receive, process what they receive, and then send those results out to where they need to be. And while we know how neurons work, what they do and the like, it's a mystery as to why they work, how they produce consciousness, for example. And understanding consciousness is kind of important to understanding the brain. You know, we don't know shit about how consciousness is realized, but I did do a video on it a while back that maybe you should go watch. Which brings me to perception, and related to consciousness, but different, because perception is all about how our brain interprets whatever signals neurons give us, while consciousness is your experience of those interpretations. And I hope that makes some sense. And I'll let you alone to think about that difference. Okay, you've thought about it long enough. Time to move on to the language of the brain. And by language, I mean the electrical chemical signaling of the brain. First thing you have to know is that neurons talk using an electrical spike, a small burst of electricity. That little burst of electricity triggers a chemical reaction between neurons that are connected by synapses, which are little tiny bridges between neurons, bridges that carry information. And the end result is some kind of biological language where a high firing rate of neurons might mean a stronger feeling about this or that. And a brainwave is nothing more than different parts of the brain communicating by aligning their electrical activity in patterns that are rhythmic. And good God, people, there is actually research that has been done that simply implies music is a lot like brain activity, in that they are linked, and recent research implies that our brains actually sync up to its internal oscillations with external rhythms. And yes, I said your brain oscillates, and how that happens and why is just another mystery of our brain. And some brains oscillate just like your fan, never moving beyond its programming. But that's not science saying that. That's me saying that. The human brain. What a mystery, huh? You know, I just got to take a step back here because I just read a really interesting article about consciousness, and they were postulating that consciousness might not be the result of the human brain, that the consciousness might exist throughout the entire universe, might be produced like gravity throughout the entire universe. Yeah, it's just weird shit, isn't it? Yeah, I think so. This was a fun video to do. And there is nothing like learning how your body works. And sometimes how your body works is just absolutely amazing. Really cool fact, when I was looking at brain waves, there's a lot of similarities between how the waves in your brain and the rhythms of music. We're all singing and dancing in the rain, ain't we? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you took something out of it. I don't know, maybe you got a smile here. You learned something that you didn't know. But with that said, thank you very much for watching. And yeah, brains, our human brains, the mystery of the brain, your brain. Boy, take care, my friends. Thanks for watching.